not guilty. Sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. I think this is like Cassie and Jane Doe. And then guilty. Transportation to engage in prostitution. So that pretty much runs down the verdict. I'll let her give us a little bit, and then from there
John
we
Diddy
can
Combs has just been
jump
found
into the
guilty
conversation.
of transportation to engage in prostitution, but not guilty on sex trafficking and racketeering charges. Now, the biggest charge here was the RICO charge, and he's been found not guilty. I'm outside of the Manhattan courthouse right now, where there's a big crowd, and I'll be back with more soon. John Diddy Combs has.
All right, fellas. So that is the verdict as it stands so far. Guilty on transportation to engage in prostitution. He was found not guilty on the RICO. I think the RICO was what they had to kind of go back and deliberate again for a day or two. But today they came out 9 o'clock in the morning and said, "Fuck it, we'll do it live." And yeah, not guilty on sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion as well. But with that said, fellas, what are y'all initial thoughts as it comes down to the verdict? Johnny, we can start with you, my boy.
I think we got to shout out that boy Brian Steele, man. The lawyers, the boy just beat one down there in Atlanta with Thug, and then he went up to New York and took on the feds and beat a RICO. So I think the lawyer in this,
Wait, he had Young Thug's lawyer?
yeah, Brian Steele. He had multiple lawyers, but one of the lawyers in the case with Brian Steele, he just beat the Thug case. So I mean, he gaining clout. I think, I don't know how much of that goes to connections and working behind the scenes to help get some of that done. But I definitely think them lawyers was on Diddy's side, and the prosecution still put up a good case for the most part. But I think the good lawyers, man, it show you what money can do, man. Good lawyers will, get you off when you in a pickle, a bad one. You get off.
Yeah,
Well,
and I would say he is still found guilty on two of the charges, in which I guess it can be, I forget what the maximums and the minimum.
both carry 10-year maximums, but they don't have any minimums. So in theory, he could walk with time served. They tried to let him get out of there early. They tried to argue for it, but they shut it down. But like my initial thought looking at it, like I thought it was very from the start, right? The fact that they went after him with that RICO was like such a game changer, because it was like, you're going after Diddy with a RICO when typically that's for like real criminal organizations that are criminal organizations, the mob, BMF, like they clearly are doing like illegal enterprise. Whereas as Diddy, they tried to argue that his record label business and music business was actually an illegal enterprise by legal definition. And I think like it's an interesting case from the fact that I think by like technical, like word for word, like it could have applied, hence why they went for the charge. But where I give the lawyers credit, Johnny, is I think they just did good on the what do you call them people? The juror selection. Because at the end of the day, like,
But that's because Diddy's a famous person though, so it's kind of easy. The defense has benefit. You got a little bit of an advantage when your client's famous.
It could be a disadvantage too. So it's like you do gotta really be careful about who you let on the jury as the defense lawyer, who you ask to get removed.
And the biggest thing, all you need is one.
I think that jury selection is the thing that ultimately did it for him. Because the other piece too though is like I think it tells me that somebody or something pushed the federal government to pursue it at the level in which they did, when they probably shouldn't have. Because like they could have gone after Diddy with a tighter case around a simpler set of charges, but they threw the whole kitchen sink at the beginning, and I think that's what hurt him ultimately.
Well, I think that's what I was gonna say. I think this is a win for the music industry, hip hop more specifically, as far as like we're gonna see prosecutors, even the feds. Like you're gonna have to have such a tight case in order to get these RICOs. As what the last two cases are showing, that the standard of getting the RICO is so high now, because I think a lot of these prosecutions, I think what a lot of the people on the jury are seeing, that these are kind of like show trials. Like a lot of the stuff with Diddy, Like they just tried to make him look bad, and not necessarily. There wasn't a lot of like clearly. I mean, they beat the cases. So I think the next RICO that we see is going to be a lot more deliberate, a lot more intentional.